Shocking truths of a California family. My son's devastating dismissal of dad's 92M will. The sun dipped low over the Pacific, casting a golden hue on the sprawling mansion perched on the cliffs of Malibu. Laughter echoed from the sprawling backyard amidst the splashing of a lavish pool. A family gathered for what seemed like another ordinary day. But the shadows whispered secrets just below the surface. At that moment, a high-stakes game was unfolding, one that would turn this picturesque paradise into a battleground. Suddenly, as if painted by an unseen hand, everything changed. In the illustrious Peterson family, wealth was more than just numbers. It was a legacy etched in the hearts of its members. Samuel Peterson had built his empire from scratch, transforming his father's tire shop into a billion-dollar tech conglomerate. His last will was worth a jaw-dropping $92 million. Yet, in a shocking twist, his own son, Derek, had dismissed the entire inheritance without a second thought. How could this be? What could possibly lead to such a heart-wrenching decision? People whispered, neighbors, friends. Even the hired helped their eyes wide with disbelief. Was it rebellion? Or something darker? Derek had always been the black sheep, but to reject his father's hard-earned legacy seemed unimaginable. He had everything. Wealth, status, even a grounded future guaranteed. And yet, there he was, pacing the marbled floor, his brow furrowed, torn between family loyalty and his own moral compass. As the sun sank, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Derek's childhood memories flashed before him, the warmth of home, the stern but guiding hand of his father. Yet, woven into those memories was a haunting darkness. Had Samuel been so consumed by greed that he blurred the lines between love and money? Derek's heart raced. Could this family be fractured beyond repair? Just as his pulse steadied, the door creaked open. A figure stepped in, cloaked in shadows, Derek's estranged twin sister, Madison. Their eyes locked, holding the weight of years lost in silence. She had her own reasons for being home, yet her presence sparked an unspoken intensity between them. "What are you doing here, Maddie?" he spat, the bitterness palpable. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." Madison hesitated, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her face. Silence stretched heavy and thick between them before she finally spoke. "I came to talk about Dad and the will." Her voice was low, almost tremulous, as if daring to break the fragile truce of their past. Derek's fists clenched. What could she possibly know that would change everything? Questions swirled wildly in Derek's mind. Was there a hidden truth? Something far more sinister than simple rebellion? Just then, a distant rumble of thunder echoed. A storm brewing above and within. As lightning danced in the sky, so too did flashes of uncertainty in Derek's heart. Would he uncover the truth before it was too late? The weight of the moment hung heavy, leaving the unmistakable taste of dread lingering in the air. Derek's mind raced, caught between disbelief and suspicion. The glare of the fading sunlight danced in and out of the living room as storm clouds loomed, mirroring the chaotic whirlwind inside him. He took a step toward Madison, his heart thumping wildly. "What do you know that I don't?" he demanded, his voice crackling with tension. Madison shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting around the room as if searching for a way out. "It's not just about the money, Derek," she finally said, each word steeped in weight. "There are things Dad never told you, things that could change how you see everything." A chill slid down Derek's spine. The air in the room felt electric, charged with unsaid words and long-exploded feelings. Had he really known his father at all? Memories flooded him, moments filled with laughter, but also those rare times of disappointment, when Samuel's ambition eclipsed the warmth of fatherly love. What could be so dark that it made Derek want to walk away from the legacy handed down? "Just tell me," he snapped, frustration bubbling over. "Why are you here now? After all these years?" Madison inhaled sharply, her expression tightening. "Because I got an anonymous message. Someone knows something about Dad's business. About his dealings. The tremor in her voice deepened the knot in Derek's stomach. Things that could ruin everything. Ruin everything. The words hung thick in the air. Derek's chest constricted at the thought of the empire Samuel worked so hard to build crumbling under the weight of shadows. Had Derek's own rejection been part of a larger web of deceit? Who sent the message? Who knows what? He pressed, desperation seeping into his tone. I don't know. Just that it's connected to some out-of-state transactions, things that seem shady. Madison's eyes fell to the floor, avoiding his gaze. I think he may have been involved in something illegal. I needed to let you know before it was too late. It felt as if the ground beneath Derek's feet shifted. The very foundations of their lives rattled with implications. The laughter and joy that had filled the mansion moments before now echoed hollow, tainted by doubt. Could he, with clenched fists, cast away a complex narrative of loyalty for the sake of money? The anger that once dominated his mind was swiftly replaced by a gnawing dread as the first drops of rain tapped against the windows. A flash of lightning illuminated the room. Briefly, Derek caught a glimpse of Madison's face, pained and desperate, perhaps even fearful. She was his twin, yet they felt worlds apart, each carrying their own burdens from a shared past. I can't do this alone, she whispered, a hint of vulnerability breaking through her stance. I need your help. If we're going to figure this out. A thunderclap roared overhead, and Derek's mind screamed. The weight of his decision bore down on him. Trust his sister, forge a path through a looming family crisis, or walk away into the unknown, bearing the scars of their fractured relationship? The storm outside was nothing compared to the tempest within. Fine, he finally said, voice low and shaky, but we do it my way. Madison nodded, relief flooding her features. The silence returned, charged but full of possibility. They were embarking on an uneasy alliance, but could they truly unearth the truth without tearing the family completely apart? With that, as the storm gathered urgency outside, a new darkness loomed over them. What revelations would they uncover, and at what cost? The siblings stood at the precipice of an unfolding chaos, unaware that the key to their father's empire might also unlock more than just secrets. It could lead them to the very heart of what tore their family apart. And somewhere in the dim corners of that Malibu mansion, a chilling thought began to settle in. What if the truth was far worse than they imagined? The storm outside raged like the turmoil inside Derek. The rain poured heavily now, cascading against the windows like a relentless barrage. Shadows danced eerily across the walls, mirroring the doubts swirling in his mind. He turned to Madison, ready to dive into whatever depths of family secrets awaited them. Where do we even start? He asked, the tension in his voice thickening. Madison hesitated, then pulled out her phone, her fingers shaking slightly. I saved the message, she said, the light from the screen illuminating her face. I think we should start there. She handed the phone to him, their fingers brushing briefly. Derek peered down at the dimly lit screen. The message was stark and cryptic. Your father was involved. Follow the money before someone follows you. A sense of foreboding washed over him. Who would send such a warning? And why? The sound of thunder crashed outside, making him jump. His heart raced, and he felt a wave of instinctive panic. What does it mean? He thought out loud. Are we in danger? Madison bit her lip, her eyes wide. I don't know, Derek. But if someone is watching us, we need to be careful. He could see it in her expression, the same fear lurking beneath her steadfast exterior. We should investigate those out-of-state transactions, she said. Maybe they're a clue. Derek nodded, but unease settled heavily in his gut. What if we uncover something fatal? What if we discover things about Dad we wish we hadn't? Madison looked away, swallowing hard. We have to know, Derek. We owe it to him and to ourselves. Their father was a complicated man. His ambition had built an empire, but what else had he hidden beneath that polished veneer? Taking one deep breath, Derek gathered himself. Let us start with the business headquarters tomorrow. We can go at dawn before anyone else gets there. Madison agreed, but her face remained pale. And if someone tries to stop us? Derek ran a hand through his hair, contemplating the risks. They never expected to wind up here, grasping at threads of a fallen legacy. But a part of him wondered if this was the moment he'd been subconsciously waiting for. A way to understand the man who shaped him. Even as he distanced himself, as the rain tapered outside, an eerie silence settled inside the mansion. The siblings stood side by side, the weight of the impending investigation looming not only over their shoulders but also within their hearts. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It sliced through the tense atmosphere like a knife. Who could be visiting at this hour in this storm? Madison's fear was palpable. She gripped Derek's arm tightly, eyes darting toward the door. "Stay here," he instructed, feeling a sudden surge of protectiveness. "I'll check it out." She nodded, instinctively pressing herself against the wall, as if hiding from whatever darkness loomed outside. Derek stepped toward the door, each heartbeat echoing in his ears. The unfamiliarity of this moment stripped away any comfort he thought he had. As he reached for the doorknob, he hesitated. What if this was someone dangerous? What if the very threat they were trying to uncover had come knocking on their door? With a deep breath, he twisted the knob and pulled the door open, the hinges creaking ominously. What stood on the other side sent a jolt of ice through his veins. A figure, cloaked in a dark raincoat, seemed to merge with the shadows around him, face obscured by the low brim of a hat. "Derek, we need to talk." His heart dropped. What did this stranger know? As the winds howled around them, he felt the weight of fate pressing down, drawing him deeper into a chaotic web of truths he wasn't prepared for. And then came the real question. Were they prepared for what might come next? Derek's heart pounded hard against his ribs, the voice resonating through him like thunder. The shadowy figure stepped into the dim light spilling from the entrance, revealing just enough to unveil a stern expression etched into their features. "Who are you?" Derek demanded, firmness breaking through the fear snaking around his throat. The figure hesitated, then pulled back the hood, unveiling a familiar but unexpected face. Derek's breath caught. It was Lou, the family's attorney, a man who navigated their father's complicated affairs for years. His eyes were grave, shadowed beneath furrowed brows. Something was seriously wrong. "Derek, there's no time to waste. I need to warn you about the will." Madison, still cowering near the wall, leaned in closer, her eyes wide as she tried to piece together this unexpected visitor. "What do you mean? What's wrong with the will?" Lou glanced around, ensuring they were alone before speaking in almost a whisper, as if the shadows themselves were eavesdropping. "Your father's estate is more complicated than you realize. There are conditions and threats." Derek felt a chill run down his spine. Conditions? What kind of threats? He didn't just leave money. He left a puzzle. One that will ruin your lives if you're not careful. Lou's voice shook slightly, as if confessing a secret that could shatter lives. "In the will, there are stipulations that require you to uncover certain truths about his business dealings. And there are people who will do anything to keep those truths buried." Madison gasped, her hands covering her mouth. "What did you find out?" "Someone is following the money." Lou's voice trailed off. He shifted nervously, looking back at the storm, its rage a reflection of the turmoil brewing within them. "What the hell does that mean?" Derek asked, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Lou took a deep, steadying breath. "Your father had many enemies, Derek. Powerful ones. He thought he could protect you by hiding everything, but now it's too late, isn't it?" Derek spat out, anger intertwining with fear. "We have to deal with this mess." "Yes," Lou replied slowly, regret and urgency mingling in his voice. "You need to get to the business first thing in the morning. But be careful. You're no longer untouchable just because you're family." Suddenly, with a sudden crack of lightning illuminating the room, Derek realized the perilous situation they were stepping into. A wave of terror struck him, the knowledge that if they uncovered the truth, it could cost them everything. "Wait. We can't just," Madison started, but Lou cut her off. "You don't understand. I'm not safe anymore either. If I can't protect you, I can't protect myself." His eyes darted to the windows, as if expecting danger in the pouring rain. Derek stepped back, the weight of the world pressing down on him. "What do we do now?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Tomorrow you dig deeper. Trust no one," Lou warned, taking a step back toward the darkness outside. "And for God's sake, don't mention this to anyone. The walls have ears." As the door closed behind him, the air felt heavier. Derek turned to Madison, who was still processing this whirlwind of revelations. "So we're not just looking for answers about Dad. We're now hunting for shadows. And they might be hunting us too." Madison swallowed hard, her face ashen. "What if we're too late?" Derek clenched his fists, forcing courage through the storm of uncertainty. Then we better be ready, because no matter what, we're not backing down. As the thunder rumbled above, a sense of resolve clicked into place. They were on the precipice of a dark tunnel. What lay ahead remained unseen, but one thing was clear: it would change everything. The first leg of their journey was imminent, an investigative mission cloaked under family loyalty and peril. And at its heart, the truth waiting to unfurl its deadly petals. But what secrets would they uncover before the storm hit its peak? The storm lashed against the windows, each gust rattling the glass as if it could break through the walls that trapped them inside their own fears. Derek and Madison stood in silence, the gravity of Lou's warning heavy in the air. Shadows danced in the corners, and every flicker of the overhead light seemed to bring with it new specters of doubt. "Let us go to bed," Madison finally murmured, her voice barely rising above a whisper. "Maybe we can think clearer in the morning." "Yeah," Derek agreed, but a surge of adrenaline kept him rooted in place. The night loomed with secrets, and he wasn't ready to sleep. Not now. "I can't just sit here." He looked around the room, his father's presence lingering like a ghost. Photos of happier times lined the walls. Derek remembered the laughter, the lessons, the depth of love overshadowed now by shadows of betrayal. Their father's face, once a symbol of strength, now turned into an enigma wrapped in layers of deceit. "Derek?" Madison's voice broke through his thoughts. What if she hesitated, eyes darting to the door they'd just locked? What if someone really is out there? Someone who wants to keep the truth hidden? A chill gripped Derek's heart. The thought of lurking dangers made his skin crawl. "We need to be smart about this," he said, steeling himself with a resolute nod. He walked to his desk, rummaging through drawers until his fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. A small flashlight. He turned it on, the beam slicing through the darkness, illuminating the shadows that had begun to congeal around them. "I'll take the first watch," he said, wanting to protect Madison. "You get some sleep. And let you bear all the burden?" "No way." Madison stepped forward, defiance igniting her features. "We're in this together. Whatever happens next, it's us against them." With a half-smile, Derek felt relief. He hadn't realized how lonely and scared he'd been until now. They were stronger together even in the midst of chaos. "Okay. Together it is," he agreed, the warmth of partnership pushing back against the chill in the room. For hours they sat in silence, listening to the storm rage outside and their hearts pulse within. The sound of dripping water punctuated the air, like time slipping away. "Do you think Lou will be okay?" Madison asked, breaking the silence. The question hung heavy. Derek frowned. "I hope so. But if they're coming for us, they're coming for him too." The storm began to subside, the winds calming. In that moment, a sudden crash cut through the stillness like someone had slammed a door downstairs. Both of them froze, eyes wide, tension electric in the air. "Did you hear that?" Madison breathed. "Yeah," Derek whispered. He motioned for her to stay still, the flashlight flickering as he gripped it tighter. "I'll check it out." "No. We can't split up," Madison protested, her voice rising in panic. "Then stay close," he replied, determination coursing through him. They crept towards the staircase, shadows creeping around them. Derek's heart raced. Each step felt like a countdown to something inevitable, something he couldn't yet grasp. As they reached the bottom step, the outline of a figure emerged from the gloom, glinting eyes reflecting the flashlight like a predator caught in the light. "Who's there?" Derek demanded, voice steady but laced with fury. No answer came, just a low guttural chuckle that curdled the air. He took a step forward, ready to confront whatever lay in the darkness. Madison's hand clutched tightly to his arm as they advanced. Then in an instant the figure lunged, shadows sweeping in like a whirlwind. "Run!" Derek shouted as the world erupted into chaos as they turned to flee. The weight of unspoken truths bore down around them. Would they decipher the puzzle of their father's lies before it consumed them whole? And with every frantic beat of their hearts, one question echoed louder than the storm. Was the true danger lurking closer than they had ever imagined? The air thickened with dread as they bolted back toward the staircase, their breaths quickened by fear. Derek could feel Madison's grip, cold and trembling, and it fanned the flames of his urgency. Adrenaline coursed through his veins, sharper and more potent than the sting of betrayal they'd just begun to untangle behind them. A crash echoed again, this time sounding closer, like the heavy footsteps of something relentless pursuing them. He could hear the shadows breathing, whispering threats that clawed at his mind. "Keep moving," he urged, his voice strained. They stumbled down the narrow hall, the flashlight flickering ominously. Shadows blurred into shapes that seemed to reach out for them, hungry for secrets long buried. Each heartbeat was a countdown, a reminder that time was running out. Madison stopped suddenly, her eyes widening. What if we can't get out? What if this was a trap? Panic laced her voice, and the raw fear pierced through Derek's chest like a knife. He couldn't afford to think like that. No, there has to be a way. We can't let them win. Not now. They bolted into the kitchen, hoping to find something that could be used as a weapon, something to protect themselves. Derek scanned the darkened space, the sound of the storm outside merging with his racing thoughts. His fingers brushed against the cold steel of a kitchen knife, a spark of comfort in the turbulent chaos. He tossed it to Madison. "Here, just in case." She nodded firmly, clutching it tightly. "I'll use it if I have to." A sudden crashing noise made them jerk toward the back door. It swung open like an invitation from the storm, pouring rain and wind into the kitchen. Derek's heart plummeted. The darkness outside felt alive, breathing with a sinister purpose. With every fiber of his being, he pushed down the despair. "We need to get out of here," he insisted, scanning the room for another exit. They sprinted toward the back of the house, desperate to escape whatever hunted them. As they reached the door, it brought them face to face with the chaos. They had left everything. Their lives, their past, their father's history behind them. Just beyond the threshold lay the storm, a wild thrashing of nature that mirrored the turbulence inside them. Madison hesitated. Fear etched across her face. "What if we run into whoever that was? Better than staying here," he replied, gripping her wrist. There's no time to hesitate. They burst through the door, feet splashing in the mud. The rain hit them like knives, but they pressed on, running into the wilderness beyond their home, blinded by rain and fear. Behind them, a voice sliced through the storm, taunting them, echoing from the shadows. "You can't escape the truth," it growled, rumbling like thunder. They stumbled deeper into the dank forest, branches clawing at them as they ran. "Derek!" Madison cried, her voice barely rising above the howling wind. "What do we do now?" In that moment, as they paused to catch their breath, the forest opened up before them, a clearing bathed in moonlight. A sudden sense of calm washed over Derek, a brief illusion of safety. But the silence was deceptive. The gusts died down, leaving an unsettling stillness that felt more like a prelude to horror. He turned to Madison, anxiety rippling through him like shockwaves. "Do you think we lost them?" But as he spoke, the ground beneath them trembled, and the echo of footsteps thundered from behind. "Derek?" Madison's eyes flickered wide with fear. Was it truly over? Or was this only the beginning of a much darker truth? The ground shook again, sending a jolt through Derek's legs. Madison's grip on the knife tightened, knuckles whitening with mounting fear. The once serene moonlight felt like a spotlight, exposing them to whatever hunted in the shadows. "They're close, Derek," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. The footsteps grew louder, a dreadful rhythm mixing with the pounding rain. It sounded like a warning, like a drumbeat in the face of impending doom. Just then, something on the far edge of the clearing caught Derek's eye, a flicker of movement. He squinted, heart racing. There it was again, a dark figure slipping through the trees. Panic surged through him. "Over there," he shouted, pointing, urgency eclipsing his fear. "We can hide." They darted toward the edge of the clearing, slipping into the dense underbrush. Suddenly, the heavy footsteps halted, an unnatural silence blanketing the forest. Time seemed to pause, each heartbeat reverberating in the stillness. Derek could feel the cold seep into his bones, an echo of the dread tightening around them. "Do you think they see us?" Madison breathed, her voice trembling. The adrenaline coursing through Derek felt like fire, edging closer to a burn. "I don't know," he replied, feeling the weight of desperation settle on his chest. He glanced back, the outline of the clearing receding into darkness. Could they remain hidden long enough to evade whatever hunted them? Another crashing sound echoed, this time from their left. Derek jerked his head in that direction, muscles tensing. He wanted to scream, to run in the opposite direction, but his instincts kept him rooted in place. Madison shivered beside him. Their breaths intermingled, threading fear into the night air. What if they find us? She whispered with a tremor. Then we fight. Derek's voice was steadier than he felt, but hope flickered. As much as terror gripped them, he refused to let it snuff out the spark of defiance. They crouched low, barely visible among the swaying ferns. Shadows danced mockingly at the periphery, weaving tales of dread and despair. Derek strained to hear over the storm, his breath hitching as a soft murmur floated through the air. The voice was guttural, almost melodic in its cruelty. Each word sank into Derek's soul like a dagger, conjuring memories of family dinners and late-night discussions turned sour. Do you hear that? Madison's grip tightened on him. I do. It's them. As the eerie whispers faded into the storm, the figure he had glimpsed earlier emerged. It shattered the stillness, a silhouette etched against the jagged trees. Derek's stomach dropped. What do we do? Madison's voice was a breathless rush, the knife quivering in her hand. He had no answer. The figure shifted, and with it, a chill swept over Derek. The air turned electric, charged with the weight of unspoken truths. The truth they had been running from was creeping uncomfortably close, more dangerously real than ever. Peering through the leaves, he tried to discern features, but the figure remained obscured, draped in darkness. Desperation impelled him forward, but a sudden rustle from deeper in the woods caught his attention. Don't move, he hissed, holding Madison to him like a protective shield. Then it came, loud, booming footsteps closing in. Fear electrified his body. They weren't just being hunted. The truth was hunting them down, and soon they would have nowhere left to hide. A scream pierced the night, one that sounded painfully familiar. Madison! It was a question, a command, a plea. Before he could react, the figure lunged toward them, its face revealed just long enough to seem painfully vivid, a visage filled with wrath, betrayal, and unspeakable knowledge. Derek's heart raced. They had to confront the past, or it would consume them whole. Run! He yelled, adrenaline propelling him forward. But another voice hissed from behind them. You cannot escape the truth. You're part of it. And with that, chaos erupted in the relentless storm, with shadows closing in and a truth that twisted like a knife. Derek's reality shattered. How deep did the lies run, and would they ever escape alive? Derek's legs propelled him forward, a blur of instinct and panic. He could hear Madison's frantic breathing just behind him, their desperation a silent chorus in the chaos that surrounded them. The figure that had lunged at them vanished back into the forest, slipping into the curtain of rain like a specter, leaving only a lingering chill. Where do we go? Madison gasped, eyes wide with fear as she stumbled over roots and rocks. We can't just run blindly. Keep going, Derek shouted, barely glancing back as the darkness loomed behind them. He felt the weight of dread grip him. The shadows felt alive, writhing, and eager to snatch them back. Each breath became a tight gasp as he pushed through the underbrush, branches clawing at him like skeletal fingers. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind. Derek's heart raced. They were definitely not alone. Faster, he urged, feeling the ground tremble beneath them, a heartbeat syncing with the footsteps that were gaining ground. But Madison faltered, her footing uneven. Derek! She cried, her voice sharp with pain. A twisted root had snagged her ankle, sending her sprawling into the muck. His heart clenched. He couldn't leave her, but he felt panic surging. Time was running out. He skidded to a halt, limbs trembling as he quickly assessed their options. Madison! Get up! He implored, extending a hand to her. The storm raged around them, rain mixing with the earth and forming a slick barrier between them and safety. I can't. It hurts, she cried, her face twisted in anguish. Derek could almost see the shadows reaching for her, coiling and unfurling like a serpent. With a surge of determination, he knelt beside her, wrapping his arm around her waist. We have to move now, or they'll get us. He heaved her off the ground, feeling her weight drag him down. As they stumbled forward together, a strange wailing sound echoed through the trees, hollow and haunting. It chilled Derek to the core, the kind of sound he had only heard from his worst nightmares. It wasn't just an echo of fear, it was a manifestation of the dread that had intertwined itself with their existence. Madison's breath came in ragged gasps, but she pushed on, determination burning in her hazel eyes. Hate and fear mixed into a cocktail of fury. Who was that? What do they want from us? Derek cursed under his breath, his mind racing through the possibilities. The question gnawed at him, clawing through layers of confusion and pain. He needed answers, but the truth felt like fire on his tongue, dangerous and scorching. Suddenly, the darkness shifted, and from it emerged another figure, wielding something that glinted ominously in the moonlight. Derek's heart sank. "Stop running!" The figure yelled, voice layered with raw anger and regret. "You think you can hide? The truth will find you." That voice, it sparked a long-buried memory. Derek froze, the world around him fading as recognition washed over him. "Wait, I know you," he whispered, the words almost stolen by the storm. What he didn't know was if recognizing them was a blessing or a curse. Madison shifted beside him, her grip tightening on the knife, eyes darting between him and the looming threat. "Who is it, Derek?" she whispered, panic evident in her tone. "Someone from my past," he breathed, uncertainty flooding him. But fear twisted sharply in his gut. Would recognizing this figure lead to salvation? Or would it unravel everything they had fought to escape? Before he could answer, the figure lunged forward. A primal scream erupted from Madison as Derek shoved her behind him, taking the brunt of whatever fate awaited them. And that moment, as thunder rumbled ominously above, Derek wondered if confronting the truth would lead to freedom or destruction. And would they be strong enough to face it together? The air grew thick with impending revelation, one that could shatter all boundaries. What families hide beneath their surfaces? And how far would they go to protect the ones they love? Derek braced himself, waiting for the inevitable impact as the figure charged. Time was a cruel trickster in moments like these, stretching into agonizing slow motion. He felt the force of the world colliding with fear and fury. Instead, there was silence. Heart pounding in his ears, he turned slowly to face the man. His eyes had widened in horror, not rage. The face Derek recognized was contorted in a mix of desperation and sadness, flashes of memories rushing back, nearly drowning him. It's you," Derek stammered, the words slipping out before he could catch them. Madison peered around him, confusion lighting her features. "Derek, what is happening? Who is he?" "Zach," Derek breathed. "Zach Reynolds. My brother." A flash of recognition sparked in the man's eyes, but the moment shattered as he shot toward them, lunging with an inhuman speed. Derek barely had time to react. He pushed Madison aside and raised his arms in defense, ready to absorb the inevitable blow, but nothing came. Zach stumbled, caught in the mud, crashing to the ground just feet away. "Derek, please," he gasped, looking up at him, rain plastering his hair to his forehead. "You don't understand. We don't have time. What are you doing here?" Derek demanded, his heart racing from a blend of old family ties and raw adrenaline. "Why are you following us?" "Following? I'm trying to save you both." Zach coughed, choking on the rain. "You have to listen to me. They're coming and you need to know what they want." Madison laid a hand on Derek's shoulder, the moment stretching heavy with unease. "Are you serious? You expect us to trust him after everything? Please," Zach pleaded, rising to his knees, eyes wild. "You don't remember what happened, do you? The night everything changed?" Derek's mind whipped through the past, memories half-formed and fuzzy like old photographs. "What night?" he demanded. "Mom, Dad, they knew something was coming. They tried to hide the truth, but it slipped, Derek. They've already taken others." Zach's voice broke, desperation spilling out like a flood. "They want to keep it buried, but we can't let them. It's not just about you and Madison. It's about everyone they've hurt." Madison squeezed Derek's arm, her instincts screaming caution. "What truth?" she urged. "What are you talking about?" The shadows around them began to writhe once again. The low thrum of danger pulsed in the air. Derek's gut twisted. He could feel whatever was coming, the darkness yearning to swallow them whole. "Listen," Zach said quickly, urgency cracking in his voice. "There's something you need to know. Something they'll do to you, do to Madison if you stay in the dark." Thunder cracked, the storm intensifying, drenching them in sheets of rain. Derek stood frozen, caught between the past that haunted him and the present that threatened to devour him. He glanced at Madison, her face was tight with fear, but there was a flicker of determination. "Derek, we have to decide now," she whispered, the storm in her eyes echoing the fury in their hearts. "Tell us the truth, Zach. Now, Derek commanded, his voice resolute, even as dread bubbled in his chest. Zack met his gaze. Deep emotion flickered there, and for a moment they were not brothers lost to time, but two people who shared blood and a dark legacy. "I'm here because I have to warn you," Zack said, his tone low and urgent. "What's coming for us is not just a threat to your lives, it's a part of our family's darkest secret. They will take everything unless we fight back." The air around them charged, the sound of footsteps approaching fast, the wailing echoing again and again, each note filled with a promise of despair, vibrating painfully in Derek's chest. And then in the distance, a flashlight beam cut through the rain-soaked darkness, a harbinger of the chaos lurking just beyond their grasp. "What now?" Madison shouted, gripping the knife tighter. Derek glanced at Zack, uncertainty lacing his expression. "I know what we have to do," Zack replied, his eyes glimmering with resolve. "But it will change everything." With the night closing in, Derek felt the weight of old wounds resurface, and somewhere deep inside, he realized that the fight for their lives had just begun. The storm raged louder as the ground trembled beneath them. Could they uncover the truth before time ran out? And would the revelation bring them deliverance or disaster? Derek's heart raced as he stared down at Zack, the memories flooding back like the relentless rain. He had spent years pushing the pain away, but now it surged to the forefront, a twisted knot of anger, betrayal, and a desperate need for answers. "What do you mean, fight back?" he demanded, feeling the urgency in the air thickening around them. Zack took a series of ragged breaths, his eyes flickering with fear against the backdrop of chaos. "They've taken so much from us. But if we stand together, we can expose the truth before they silence us for good." The weight of those words hung heavy. It resonated deep inside Derek, pulling at strings he had long ignored. Just then, the distant beam of a flashlight sliced through the rain, closer now, and Derek felt panic begin to bloom in his chest. "We can't stay out here. They'll find us," he urged, glancing at Madison, who nodded, her brows furrowed in concentration. "We need a plan. We can't just run or hide. We have to confront them." Madison's eyes blazed with determination, a fire igniting in the pit of Derek's stomach. She was right. They had spent too long on the defensive. It was time to take control. "Follow me," Zack said, urgency in his tone. He turned abruptly, and the siblings followed, running for the cover of a thick cluster of trees just off the clearing. The shadows encased them, offering a brief respite from the elements, but dread lingered like a thundercloud. "What are we up against?" Derek asked, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Who are they?" "Powerful people," Zack said, glancing over his shoulder. "They don't just want to protect the family name, they'll kill to keep their secrets buried. Dad was involved in illegal dealings, things that went far beyond anything you could imagine. If you want to claim that money, you're in their crosshairs." Madison shuddered, her grip tightening around the knife like a lifeline. "Then we need proof. We can't expose anything without evidence." Zack nodded. He kept files on everything, transactions, deals, everything hidden in the old boathouse just off the property. "If we can reach it, we can find the documents we need." A flash of recognition sparked in Derek's eyes. He remembered the boathouse from childhood, a place of laughter and good times. But now? Now it was a potential grave. "It's risky. They'll be watching the estate." "We'll be quick," Zack insisted. "They don't expect you to fight back. If we act strategically, we can get there without tipping them off." Thunder roared in the distance, and with it came a renewed sense of urgency. Derek felt the pull of destiny, the gravity of their shared lineage urging him forward. "Let us go." They moved as one, hearts pounding in sync, the adrenaline dulling the bite of fear. They navigated through the darkened woods, branches snapping and rain pounding like a drumroll, a haunting soundtrack to their endeavor. As they neared the boathouse, they caught sight of a figure illuminated by the flashlight beam, a sentry, lurking just outside, scanning the vicinity. Derek's stomach dropped. "What now?" he whispered, the weight of helplessness inching its way back. "Stay low and move fast," Zack suggested, his voice barely a hush. "We can distract him." Madison's grip was fierce as she gave Derek one last look. Silent determination exchanged between them. "We can't let fear dictate our next move." "Right." Derek clenched his fists, feeling the surge of rage against the sentry's smug assurance. "On three. 1, 2, 3. They bolted from the shadows, sprinting toward the boathouse as the sentry turned, caught off guard by their sudden rush. Zach threw a branch he had picked up, hitting the ground to the right of the man, sending him stumbling. As the guard veered, Derek burst through the door of the boathouse with Madison close behind. The boards creaked beneath their feet, echoing in the hollow space. The musty air hung heavy with memories, but Derek had no time to linger. He moved toward the back room, feeling the pulse of purpose drive him. "Lights!" Madison whispered urgently, fumbling with damp wooden crates until she discovered a flash unit. This should help. As she flicked it on, soft illumination bathed the room, revealing stacks of dusty boxes and rusted tools. But more importantly, in the far corner lay a locked filing cabinet, conspicuous, yet beckoning with potential. Zach hurried over, planting a foot on an old crate to reach for the lock. "Help me with this." They worked together to pry it open, the tension in the air thickening with every click of metal. One last push, Zach strained, and with a sharp yank the drawer snapped free. A rush of documents spilled out, pouring across surfaces like unmarked graves. Bills, contracts, bank statements, the proof of their father's hidden life came flooding out. Papers bore witness to betrayal, deceit, and an empire built on fragile lies. No turning back now, Derek breathed, his heart racing as he rifled through them, each piece telling a fragmented story he never knew. But then they heard it, the sound of footfalls approaching, quicker and more menacing than before. "We have to go," Madison shouted, eyes wide with fear as the door shuddered under aggressive pounding. Drawing strength, Derek knew they needed a way out. Through the back. They hurried, darting toward the rear exit, shoving it open just in time to escape into the relentless storm again. Rain poured down, mixing with their frantic breaths. The forest loomed dark and treacherous ahead. "We can't go home," Derek said, heart pounding with the weight of the secrets they had unearthed. "We need to find somewhere safe. Somewhere to plan." Madison nodded, determination flickering back to life. "Then we make our stand. Together." But as they began to run down the muddy path, a crack of gunfire split the air, sending shockwaves through Derek's body. He stumbled, eyes wide with horror, as he realized this was only the beginning. They were no longer fighting for mere answers, they were fighting for their lives. "Run!" Zach shouted, urgency cutting through the chaos. Adrenaline coursed through Derek as he pushed forward. With each step, the urgency to uncover the truth and protect his family burned brighter. Could they face what lay ahead? Or would the truth finally tear them apart? It was a race against time, but now they had purpose. They were no longer just the children of a legacy. They were warriors, and they would confront whatever darkness lurked both behind them and ahead, as they ran into the uncertain night. This was the moment that everything would change. If you've enjoyed this gripping journey, this is the time to show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive story and witness all the twists ahead. Smash that like button now to help us feed the algorithm and keep this thrilling series alive. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what happens next. Let us ignite the conversation and keep the excitement rolling. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this heart-pounding conclusion. Your support means the world, and together, we'll uncover even more. Your engagement is what keeps this adventure alive. Let's dive deeper into the next chapter together.